Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene was recently interviewed by CBS News Lesley Stahl on 60 Minutes. So now, look, I can't show you the video because CBS loves to, for some reason, flag 60-minute content. Like, I do a video on it, and I show you the video, and oops, copyright. So they're pretty terrible when it comes to that. But I will go through, and I'll tell you. So now look, Lesley Stahl asked Greene about some of her past actions, some of her past statements, and her answers were not great, but neither was the pushback from Stahl. And I'll illustrate that. So now, first, she was asked about the time that she had followed shooting survivor David Hogg around while shouting weirdo stuff at him. Again, this is a victim of a shooting, of a mass shooting, where he saw his classmates get shot and die, and she's going around chasing him and saying things that aren't true. One of the things that she had yelled at Hogg is that if he was protected by security guards, if there had just been good guys with guns at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, there would not have been a mass shooting, except that there was a security guard and it did nothing. Oops. It did not help. Now, when she was asked about that, she didn't like that question and said, well, it just, don't ask me those kinds of things because it just doesn't show the full breadth of my life. What? Wait, if you're going to go after a survivor of a mass shooting, well, number one, don't. Let's just say that. Don't do that. But I don't care about the rest of your life when you do that stuff. Okay? You're generally a terrible person. And she illustrates that in the next exchange that I'm going to talk about. And that's when Stahl had asked Greene about her claims the Democrats were a, quote, party of pedophiles. Stahl said, quote, they're not pedophiles. Why would you say that? Look, you're addressing someone who is absolutely unhinged with rational questions as if they are a rational person. Why? Why? But here was Marjorie's response, and she struggled to put out this response. Quote, Democrats support even Joe Biden. The president himself supports children being sexualized and having transgender surgeries. Sexualizing children is what pedophiles do to children. Stahl's response was, wow, okay. Wait. That's it? What kind of reaction is that? But look, here's the situation, right? You have a legacy media reporter basically meeting the face of insane QAnon. She wasn't ready for that. There's no way. She was not equipped to handle that level of crazy. I don't know a lot of people who are, but it does also illustrate how members of legacy media are just not prepared. They don't know what they're dealing with. Now, look, for people who are not in mainstream media, who are in progressive media, who look at the statements and things that they've made and they said, and what they believe in, yeah, we're prepared for that. We know all about the crazy, but there is this weird reaction. It's almost like an expectation among mainstream news pundits to respect both sides. Oh, Democrats say this, Republicans say that. I mean, Republicans say that all the Democrats are pedophiles, and Democrats say, well, they're not, and they're actually looking out for human rights of trans people. I can't tell the difference. You decide. No. One side wants to eliminate trans people from existence. They've literally said so. We must eliminate transgenderism. That's Michael Knowles. That is a Daily Wire host. Don't forget the numerous statements that are anti-trans made by people like Matt Walsh and Chaya Raichik. Okay? So you have all of that. And they're telling you exactly what they want to do. And mainstream media sits there and goes, wow, I don't know, that seems like it might be a little extreme. Maybe. I don't know. Why would you say something like that? Because you're insane. That's what they're saying. Look, none of that is true. For one, children are not allowed to have transgender surgeries. Gender-affirming care for trans youth involves essentially social transition, using pronouns, their preferred name, doing the social transition, wearing the types of clothes, the gender they identify with. That doesn't have anything to do with what Marjorie Greene is talking about. And by the way, look, socially transitioning is not sexuality either. Gender expression is different than sex. Is there a link between the two? Sure. But is that the same? No. Being a transgender person isn't inherently based on sexuality. It is gender expression. And that means gender roles, outward appearance, etc. Boiling everything down to sex is pretty simplistic. And by the way, if you're so concerned and think everything is related to sex, I don't know, maybe there's something in your brain which makes you always think of sex. And if you're doing so in relation to children, that seems like it's a personal problem and makes you a little bit sus. But again, none of that has anything to do with what Marjorie Greene is talking about, because she's out there making unhinged claims. Let's look at who the vast majority of pedophiles are. Turns out they're cisgender straight males. Not transgender people. Not members of the gay community. And by the way, speaking of the gay community, that same rhetoric, you got homosexual males are going around and they're poisoning the youth. They're turning the people to gay with the virus, the gay virus. It's the woke mind virus now. No. They use that same kind of rhetoric against gay people before they targeted trans people, because turns out, it was no longer accepted by society to attack gay people and accuse them of being pedophiles, which again, they're not. All right, so now there's more. Stahl also asked this. My question is, can't you fight for what you believe in without all that name calling and without the personal attacks? So before I get into her answer, you don't understand these people, Leslie. That's what they have. Their identity is to own the libs. They don't have anything to fight for without using these, tactics, name calling and personal attacks. That is all they literally have. They don't have real policy positions. Have you really seen them talk about anything that makes the average American workers' lives better? Talking about kitchen table issues? Talking about raising wages, health, doing health care? No, you never hear about any of that. Any of that. It's because they don't care about those things. They are all in the culture wars. That's all they do is fight the culture wars. And now she responds. Let me give you her answer. Quote, well, I would ask the same question to the other side, because all they've done is call me names and insult me nonstop since I've been here. They call me racist. They call me anti-Semitic, which is not true. I'm not calling anyone names. I'm calling out the truth, basically. To which Stahl said, or asked, pedophile? And Greene responded by saying, pedophile. Call it what it is. So, look, this is what arguing with some people on the right is like. it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter the facts that you present. It just doesn't matter. They're just out to do one thing. That's to own the libs. That's it. Own the libs. Go off to the left. They're the enemy. Doesn't matter. They're the enemy. And if I can't find something to attack them on, we'll just make things up. Pedophile, groomer, pedophile, groomer. Not true at all. Not true at all. Now, as far as, well, they call me anti-Semitic. They call me racist. Well, that's because Marjorie Greene has said racist and anti-Semitic things. Let me give you an example here, right? So the right loves to attack George Soros. Now, George Soros is a billionaire. I don't really care. I don't want billionaires in our politics. Okay? Any billionaire, right? And does George Soros donate to liberal causes, liberal groups? Yeah, sure. You could also look at other people. By the way, there was a very wealthy Jewish casino magnate that gave to a lot of Republicans. But wait a minute. So how then is, George Soros, because he's basically, the conspiracy theory is that he is the puppet master that controls the Democratic Party. No, there are Jewish billionaires. There are Jewish millionaires that donate to both sides. Okay. And by the way, there are also non-Jewish billionaires and millionaires that donate to both sides. And yes, Sheldon Adelson. Thank you. So the only point to when you point out those specific people and make them as a boogeyman, it's a dog whistle. It's an anti-Semitic dog whistle. That's what it is. Now, if you're somebody who says, like me, for example, why don't we just get all the billionaires to not, be able to give gigantic campaign contributions to, either side? Why don't we get all the private money out of politics and go to publicly financed elections? That would be the obvious solution to stopping both the Adelsons and the Soros and the Kochs and all the different, billionaires that do donate a lot of our money to our political system. And of course, the corporations as well. That would be an actual solution. But no, what Marjorie Greene and the people on the right want to do is, again, do this weirdo anti-Semitic dog whistle against George Soros. They're doing it right now. Alvin Bragg in Manhattan, Soros-funded far-left prosecutor. What? Come on. So there's that puppet master, thing. And not only that, but of course, there was the statements about space lasers that were controlled by the Rothschilds that may have started certain forest fires. She didn't actually say, the words
Jewish space lasers.
But pretty close. Enough to have it be a anti-Semitic dog whistle. Now, as far as, being racist, I think I don't have to go any further than just to remind you all that she was one of the guest speakers at a white nationalist conference headed by Nick Fuentes, one of the most famous white nationalists, white supremacists that sadly we know. So come on. But overall, look, the biggest thing here, in my opinion, is, look, I don't care what she calls Democrat. I don't care what she calls people on the left. Doesn't hurt anybody's feelings. Doesn't hurt my feelings. This is like dumb person ranting, on the side of the road. I don't really care what you have to say. But the problem is that her, as well as the rest of the right wing that have taken up this groomer pedophile narrative, you're actually hurting victims of real sex trafficking. You're actually harming the victims of molestation. There are groups that help survivors of these issues. They have spoken out and said, hey, look, you really need to not trivialize this language. Calling somebody you don't like or don't agree with politically a pedophile and a groomer when they're not, that's actually harming real victims of, of these people, of predators. Don't. You might want to scale that back a lot. They said that it diminishes the word by using it as an insult for anyone who supports LGBTQ rights. And so at the end of the day, they're actually helping groomers, actual predators. By the way, look, you also can't say, and I know they're doing it anyway, but see, Democrats are they're all the pedos. Yeah, that's right. No, you literally have a lot of former Republican officials that were caught being pedos. Let me give you one example. Last year, Adam Hagman, former Commerce Department official in the Trump administration, and before that, an employee of Turning Point USA, yes, that's Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA, was sentenced to 5.5 years in prison for pleading guilty to possession of child pornography. Gee, how did those get there? Oh, you know what it is. It must be the deep state, must be George Soros. Say people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. You understand yet? They're divorced from reality. And they don't care about actual victims. For them, at the end of the day, it's always been about one thing: owning the libs.